Hello, Garage Squad. I want to tell you what kind of opportunity I have here for you. This is my dad's vet behind me, and I'll give you some other pictures and videos of stuff. But my father had always wanted a Corvette. I remember going back and looking at some old videos. He said it when he was in his 30s that he wanted a vet. And after his dad passed, he took some of his inheritance and got a 69 Corvette in 1993 while we were living in Brunswick, Ohio. Shortly after he bought it, there was an issue with the carburetor. I remember he drove it up the street, and then it died on him. We had to push it all the way back down the street and back up the driveway. It sat in the garage for a little while, put a cover on it, so it was something we were going to get to. Before we got to it, though, we ended up moving from Brunswick, Ohio, to Auburn, Alabama, and it sat here for a little bit, and it was sitting in the driveway up front, and it the transmission started leaking from one of the seals, and at that point my dad just said, you know what, we're just going to rebuild it in its entirety. My dad was into a bunch of different things when he was younger, and doing cars was one of them. He was a Bondo man. He always painted cars, and he was planning to do all this by himself. So rebuilding the process started in probably about 98 or so, because he ended up building the building that I'm in now to restore the vet. And it's actually got a little loft upstairs that I lived in when I was in college, because I went to college here locally. But so it started in 98. We took it all the way down to the frame, sandblasted it, repainted it, rebuilt the engine, put a new transmission in it recently. The old transmission has which is sitting over there. It's got a crack in the case, so I ended up putting the new transmission in it. So now the numbers don't match. I know originally he was trying to go for everything to match, but yeah, I guess you do what you can. For just a little bit on me, I lived in, after I moved from here, after I graduated college, I was hopping around in Florida for a little bit, lived in Tampa for about 8 years, and I've been in Atlanta for about 8 years now too, so I'm 2 hours away to where I can come and help him a little bit more. The car really didn't become a priority until here recently, but he had, there's always other stuff that was going on, whether it was something he was doing at work, something at the house, or going camping or something like that. So there was always fun stuff they were doing. So my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in April of 2018. And at that point, he was only given days or weeks to live, because the cancer was in his liver, and they couldn't give him chemotherapy because all the chemo runs through your liver. So if your liver's not functioning, that's something that they can't do. So the diagnosis jump-started us getting the car as complete as possible before the inevitable would happen. So after several visits to different treatment centers, they found a doctor in Tampa who could operate on the liver and clear the blockage that was caused by the cancer, that would allow his liver to work properly and get his bilirubin levels down. He said, which is the color of your skin. He said he looked like a highlighter. He was he was very yellow, but the bilirubin levels would come down to where he could start chemo treatments. So he started the chemo treatments, and everything was going well. It seemed promising. It worked for several months, and during that time, we would be working on whatever we could here, putting more and more stuff together, tinkering. He's bought a lot of parts. We've got a lot of the old parts too. It's a pretty good documentation process, so it's not just a pile of bolts sitting here. But there's a lot of stuff that we haven't been able to get to. But the cancer, it was dying off, and we were happy. But shortly after a couple months, the numbers started going back up. It's like the cancer got smart. So they got him off that drug, started on a different one, and it did the same thing for a while. It was going down, 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 and then it started picking back up again. So it was like, all right, then we thought we were at the end of the line. We ended up finding one more option, which was another drug. And this drug actually made him, this was probably the hardest drug on him, because it made him lose his hair. It was pretty. He was getting weak. He didn't have muscle capacity anymore. He would sit down here with me and kind of tell me some stuff to do. But he couldn't do too much. And then after that treatment wasn't working, he decided to stop his treatments, and he passed away several weeks later with all of his family by his side. So as I sit here on his 1-year anniversary of his passing, I figured now's a good time to reach out to you guys at Garage Squad. I was actually hoping to reach out to you guys while he was still here, when he was sick, but I opted not to. When I asked him what he wanted me to do with the car, he said there were several options, but he got choked up when I asked him that question. So the conversation pretty much stopped right there. But over the years, we watched many Garage Squad shows together. Sorry. In a letter I wrote him before his passing, I included some songs that always made me think of him. And one of them is Things My Father Said by Blackstone Cherry. And one of the lines in the song is, "The car that we built will always roll." And I would like to get this car rolling again for him. So to give you an update on the current status, we got the body back on the car, minus the front end. So the body was sitting outside for a while he was working on the frame and the engine and stuff. We built a frame for it to sit on. Over time, the wood that we had built it out kind of warped and the front end broke off. But while he was still here, we ended up renting a forklift, picked up the body, put it on. So we've got 3/4 of the body on, but need to buy a front end. We've had it running, so we got it out, started up. It starts good. So the timing has got a little bit of adjustment, but it does start. But there is a lot of stuff that needs to be done to it, and I don't have that experience. There's just a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So I would greatly appreciate any help that you guys could do to help to get this vet finished. I don't need anything monetarily. I can buy the parts. I just need the skill set to help me get this thing done. My dad did a good job of giving me a construction skill set, because that's what the industry that I'm in. Mechanically, I'm not near where he was to put something like this back together. And even if this isn't something that you guys use for the show, if it's something that you guys wanted to do, off camera and come help me, I would be greatly appreciative of that as well. But just to give you a couple shots of what this thing looks like. So I got the engine back together. It's works pretty well. I mean, it looks pretty good. We've got started taking the doors off so we could adjust the doors and get ready to put the front end back on, but we didn't get too much further than that. So with that said, guys, I'd love to see you guys come here. You've got an awesome area to work in. It's heated, cooled, undercover. But any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys.